7 things you should never say to a man. One sentence can wound deeper than silence. Many women unknowingly say things that quietly erode a man's confidence and trust, sometimes in just seconds. Today, we'll uncover the hidden phrases that can damage a relationship far more than arguments ever could. By the end, you'll have the tools to speak with both honesty and respect, plus one phrase to replace them all. Talking point 1. Man up, as if emotions disqualify masculinity. There's a weight behind the phrase man up that doesn't always show on the surface, but it lands heavy. It sounds like tough love, maybe even like motivation. But what it really does is reduce a man to a role, a performer who's only allowed strength, only allowed silence. It says, don't feel, don't show, just carry it. And the timing? It almost always slips out when he's vulnerable, when he's lost a job, when he's overwhelmed, when he finally admits that something's not okay. Instead of receiving support, he's told to suppress what little he risks sharing. The truth is, masculinity has long been defined in narrow terms. Don't cry, don't break, don't ask for help. And this message doesn't just shape boys. It follows them into adulthood, into their marriages, their fatherhood, their careers. According to the American Psychological Association, men who are taught to suppress emotions are significantly more likely to suffer from depression, abuse substances, and tragically, die by suicide. This isn't just theory, it's life or death. And too often, it's silent. So when someone you love is struggling, they don't need slogans. They need space. They need your patience and your presence. Instead of man up, say, it's okay to feel that. It doesn't make you weak. Because strength isn't about hiding emotion. It's about learning to sit with it, name it, and grow through it. If your partner's been laid off, let him process. That grief isn't weakness. It's the beginning of resilience. Talking point 2. You're not ambitious enough. Dismissing his chosen pace in life. Ambition isn't a single shape. It isn't always a ladder to climb or a title to flash. For some, it looks like starting a business. For others, it's staying close to their children or choosing peace over prestige. So when you say you're not ambitious enough, it can cut deeper than you intend. It makes his pace feel like a problem. It implies that his value lies in how fast he's moving or how loud his success looks to others. But ambition is personal, deeply so. There are men who are quietly building something meaningful. They're showing up in their homes, investing in their mental health, giving time to their communities. That kind of growth doesn't always show up on LinkedIn, but it matters immensely. And comparison? It doesn't need to be direct to do damage. Mentioning what your friend's husband is doing or how someone else is climbing faster might seem casual, but to a man already wrestling with doubt, it feels like betrayal. Like he's not enough and may never be. There's a better way to support his journey. Try saying, I admire how you're building a life that feels right for you. What do you need to get where you want to go? That small shift invites clarity, not criticism. A man who turns down a promotion to stay close to his kids isn't lacking ambition. He's showing exactly where his priorities are, and that's a kind of courage that deserves respect. Talking point 3, you're lucky I'm still with you, undermining his sense of worth. In the heat of an argument, this one can slip out almost without thinking, but once said, it doesn't just land, it lingers. You're lucky I'm still with you doesn't just express anger. It places you above him. It turns your relationship into a transaction where your love sounds more like a reward, or worse, a warning. Instead of being a partner, it paints you as a judge, and it quietly tells him he's not measuring up. For a man already questioning his value, this cuts deep. It triggers that quiet fear many carry but rarely voice. What if I'm not enough for her? And according to decades of research from the Gottman Institute, contempt, the sense of superiority one partner holds over the other, is the single strongest predictor of divorce. This phrase, it drips with it. The truth is, relationships rooted in gratitude grow. But ones built on threats, even subtle ones, start to fracture. Conflict is natural. It's part of loving another person deeply. But the way we speak in those moments decides whether trust deepens or dissolves. Instead of threatening to walk away, try this. This is hard, but I'm here because I care. That small reassurance can soften defenses and open space for real connection. Say you've just disagreed about money. Rather than pulling rank, invite a shared solution. Protect his dignity. Protect your bond. Talking point 4, you should always be the provider, ignoring modern relationship dynamics. There's an old script that says a man's worth is tied to how much he earns, that he must always provide, no matter the season, no matter the cost. But life has changed, and so have relationships. Saying you should always be the provider doesn't just reinforce a traditional role, it reduces him to a paycheck. It tells him that unless he's bringing in money, he's falling short. For men navigating job transitions, exploring new paths, or prioritizing family time, this kind of pressure isn't motivating. It's suffocating. And it doesn't just hurt him. It also overlooks the reality of many modern relationships where women are choosing to lead financially or contribute equally, not because they have to, but because they want to. The strength of a partnership isn't found in who earns more, it's in how you build together. Instead of holding each other to outdated expectations, ask, let's figure out what works for us, not what others expect. That one sentence opens the door to shared values, not rigid roles. Think about a woman who earns more, but he handles the home, supports her emotionally, shows up for the kids, and helps keep their life moving. That's not imbalance. That's richness. True provision is about presence, not just pay. It's about being all in whatever way your relationship needs. Talking point 5, other guys would handle this better, weaponizing comparison. Few things sting more than being measured against someone else, especially in the eyes of the person you love. Saying, other guys would handle this better, might feel like frustration speaking, but what it really delivers is shame. It doesn't correct his actions. It questions his worth. Comparison, in any form, quietly erodes trust. It turns a relationship into a competition he didn't agree to be in. And when that comparison involves an ex, a friend's partner, or even a public figure, it doesn't just hurt, it humiliates. What he hears is, you're not just wrong, you're not enough. And even if what you're pointing out has truth in it, the damage from how it's said often outweighs the point you're trying to make. Instead of pitting him against someone else, invite him into partnership. Try this instead. I know this moment is tough. Can we find a better way to move through it together? That phrase doesn't lower the standard. It just raises the level of grace. If something's broken and you feel tempted to say, James would have fixed this by now, pause. Say instead, can we look at this together? I trust you'll figure it out. That small shift lets him know he's not being judged. He's being believed in. And sometimes that belief is all it takes to move forward. Talking point 6, stop making everything about you. Invalidating his attempts to open up. Emotional intimacy isn't one-sided. It needs space, on both ends, to be real. When a man opens up, especially about something difficult, it's rarely casual. For many, expressing emotion goes against everything they were taught growing up. So when he does speak, it often means he's pushed past a wall that's been there for years. Saying, stop making everything about you, may come from exhaustion or overwhelm, but what it communicates is that his feelings are inconvenient, that his attempt to be honest is somehow selfish. And what usually happens next? He pulls back. Not just in that moment, but for good. He learns that sharing risks rejection and starts to believe the safest way to protect the relationship is to protect you from his truth. That silence might look like strength, but often it's resignation. There's a better way to hold both of your needs without shutting him down. Try this. I want to hear what you're feeling. I just need a minute to gather myself. That sentence creates breathing room. It says, your feelings matter, and so do mine. Let's get through this without losing each other. Say it's a tense moment. He's trying to explain the stress he's under at work. Instead of cutting him off, even if you're tired, offer understanding. That doesn't mean you carry it all. It just means you don't ask him to carry it alone. Talking point 7. You're too sensitive for a guy. Shaming emotional honesty. This phrase doesn't just sting. It shuts the door on emotional safety. Telling a man he's too sensitive for a guy reinforces a story he's likely heard his whole life. That softness is something to hide, not something to honor. That if he feels deeply, he must be flawed. But emotional sensitivity isn't weakness. It's awareness. It's the ability to sit with hard truths, to recognize hurt, to connect with what's real. And many men spend years trying to unlearn the idea that vulnerability makes them less of a man. So when he finally shares something raw, maybe even tears up in front of you, and the response is mockery or discomfort, it feels like punishment for growth. This phrase is especially painful during moments of confession, when he's not just telling a story, but revealing a wound. Instead of minimizing his emotion, try this. I see how deeply you feel things. It matters to me. Those words tell him his emotions have a place, that he doesn't have to toughen up to be taken seriously. Let's say he opens up about losing someone in his family. His voice breaks, his eyes well up. That's not a reason to recoil. That's your cue to lean in. Being strong and being sensitive aren't opposites. They're partners. When you make room for both, you're not just witnessing his emotion. You're honoring his humanity. Bonus point, the one phrase that can replace them all. Help me understand what you need right now. It's simple but powerful. This one sentence does 3 things. It acknowledges without assuming. It opens the door to real dialogue. And it invites emotional honesty without applying pressure. When things get tense, when you feel the urge to react, this phrase centers the connection instead. It's not about fixing, it's about understanding. Say he's shut down after a long day. You don't know what's behind the silence. Instead of snapping or guessing, you ask, help me understand what you need right now. That moment of pause, it builds trust. It says, I'm not against you. I'm with you, even here. In love, it's not always the loud gestures that keep people close. Sometimes it's the quiet invitation to be known. Since you've made it this far, you're not just a viewer. You're part of this growing circle of women choosing grace, insight, and emotional wisdom. Write, I speak with love and clarity in the comments to let me know you stayed until the end. It helps this channel grow, but more importantly, it helps us build a space where these conversations matter. If this video resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up. It helps more than you know. Subscribe if you'd like to see daily content that nourishes both mind and heart. Share this with a friend or sister who values thoughtful relationships. Thank you for watching, for reflecting, and for choosing this space for growth. There's another video waiting on your screen. Go ahead and tap it. I'll be right there, and I'll see you back here tomorrow.